Hi everyone, am I loud and clear? Am I audible enough?
Yeah.
No disturbance, right? Good. Okay. So now what we'll do is it's been almost 5 days since we have got met again. What I will do is I'll just simply take anyway. It may sound a little bit of repeating, but it's very important. I'll just simply take the terminologies, whatever that we have discussed so far, and I'll just simply take 1 or 2 minutes of explanation about them. That's all. Okay. So today is going to be terminology 4 class. Terminology 04, and the terms that we have discussed, anyway, like we don't have much of things to discuss. The terminology that we have discussed is first and very most important, that is rule. Okay, what do you mean by rule? A rule is nothing but a small component in Pega which has some functionality associated to it. Whatever it may be, it has some functionality associated to it. That is what. Okay, a rule is nothing but we can write it as also as a primitive component. Primitive component in Pega which has some functionality associated to it. Some functionality associated to it. Okay, so the next term that we have discussed is rule set. What is this rule set? It's basically like a suitcase with bunch of balls or something, if you take each ball as a rule. Okay, so a rule set is nothing but a collection or a grouping mechanism. A grouping mechanism where different rules will be present. Different rules will be present. Different set of combination of rules will be present. So whenever we see any scenario, different multiple rules will be coming together to bring up this scenario. All the times it may not be the same combination. Different combination of rules will be coming together to bring up that particular scenario. So we will see how those scenarios are going to be formed. All those things we are going to see in the next classes. Probably in this week only we will see that. Okay, so okay, the next one is rule set versioning. Rule set versioning. What do you mean by rule set versioning? Rule set versioning is a concept where a numbering is given which will help us to handle the whatever enhancements that we are going to do, or which development is done by which team, all those things, from project architectural related stuff or project tracking related stuff. Okay, a numbering which will help us to handle, okay, project related deliverables, simple project deliverables. Okay, the next one is rule set stack. And this rule set stack is very important. Please try to always think whenever I speak anything, saying that okay, whenever I say PRPC is trying to pick some rules, I'm talking about rule set stack. Okay, what do you mean by rule set stack? The order in which PRPC is going to pick the rules is called as rule set stack. So sometimes you will be seeing, where you can see this particular rule set stack related information, where you can see this information can be seen in which rule? This information can be seen in, okay, application rule. Okay, application is the rule which we have to open whenever we want to understand, okay, how different rule sets are ordered. So meaning, I'll just simply log in. This is an application which I have created for other person, other batch. We'll create one for ourselves also, probably day after tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so if you how you will identify what is the view that you are seeing here. This is called as Designer Studio view. Okay, what is Designer Studio? Designer Studio is a place where Designer Studio. What is Designer Studio? Designer Studio is a place where developer will create, modify, and delete. Okay, modify, delete, and connect different kinds of rules. Connect different kinds of rules. Okay, Designer Studio is the entire place. In a simple words, if you want to say, Designer Studio is the place where all the development is going to happen. As simple as that. Okay, so the next one is okay, we're talking about rule set stack, right? Where you can see this particular rule set stack. In the Designer Studio, in the heading ribbon, there will be a cube icon. Always try to remember this is a tool. In the tool, what we have to do is until we get the complete familiarity, we have to keep some hard. We have to keep some cheat codes. Okay, this cube icon is nothing but if you click on it, automatically it will show. You don't need to see, it will automatically show that open overview, open application, open mobile apps, and all those things. So this mobile apps and all, there is a little bit more configuration is needed. That is not there in the scope. But if you see, if you click on open application, so here if you see, this is the order. Okay, this is the order of the rule set stack, whatever that I'm talking about. See, even though these things are having, first four letters are same. Okay, so this is a different rule set. Okay, this is a different rule set. If you see, if you want, what is the circle thing is going to do? It is going to open that particular rule. Okay, so I'll just simply click on this. See, it is opening one rule. It is okay. Which rule it is opening again? How will you identify which rule you are seeing? In the heading, before semicolon, whatever that is there, that is nothing but the rule type that we are seeing. Okay, we are seeing, in Pega we have different types of rules. So far we have seen only two rules. The first one is application rule and the second one is rule set. Okay, here if you see this, what is this rule set name? GB11. If you go to the application, again one more rule set is there. If you open that, it will open a different rule set. So what is happening here? Multiple rules are grouped under one single application. Okay, and always PRPC is going to start picking the rules from the highest version. So one is the first rule set that is going to do. So how PRPC is going to do is, for example, okay, let's say we'll go with an example. Let's say that we have ABC, okay, 01-01. Okay, next XYZ, patch version will not be mentioned at application. Okay, there is a specific significance for that. We'll talk about it later. XYZ 0101. Next PQR 01-01. Let's say that this is the order. And actually, if you see in the background, every rule set is having these many versions. ABC 01-01-03. Okay, let's be limited. Okay, next. So what will be the next rule set that is going to come? Basically, let's say, okay, let's say this is how XYZ, okay, 01-01-03. 0, 2. Let's say this has only one rule set. Sorry, two rule set. XYZ 01 hyphen 01 hyphen 01. Next, PQR. Okay, 01 hyphen 01 hyphen 01. Only one rule set is there. So when the order in which we are placing these rule sets also has significance. PRPC will always start from ABC 0101. That means like ABC 0103. In ABC rule set, it will start from the highest rule set. Okay, highest version, and then it will go down. Okay, in the same way, in the next rule set also, it will start from the highest version and then it will go down. Okay, no matter how many rule sets it is going to look, PRPC is going to simply follow this. Okay, no alteration has been done from Pega 5.5 till today. Okay, now we are standing at Pega 7.3.1, but till today there is no change to this particular logic. Okay, to this particular logic of picking the rules, or to this particular logic of rule set stack, there is no change. Okay, always PRPC is going to start from the highest version and it is going to go to the lowest version. That is the thing that you have to keep in your mind. Okay. Where you are going to order these things in the application rule. In the application rule, whatever that you have, you can order it. For example, if you want this particular rule set to go in front of it, you can do it. Okay, if you save, it will save it, but ideally I should not do. I'm saying, since these are different things, this is how you can do. You can reorder whatever that you are going to do. If you see, if you keep this XYZ in top, if you keep XYZ on the top position, then what is going to happen? XYZ is going to come as the first rule set where PRPC is going to look for the rules. So what happens, for example, this is owned by Kumar. Okay, here I have created some user interface rule, something like called as user details. Why this much of, why Kumar this much of complexity? Why we need this much of complexity things? So ABC is owned by Kumar. Okay, here he is showing first name and last name. First name and last name. And this particular version is owned by Girish. So here if you see, for example, here also user details rule is there. Same rule, user details rule is there. But here Girish is showing only date of birth and phone number. So what happens? Basing on the order in which PRPC is going to look for the rule is going to make a huge difference on the front end. Ultimately, when something is getting affected on the front end, who is going to get impacted? Our end user. Basically, if there is no end user, obviously we are not there. So that much of significance is there for the rule set stack. Okay, the next one is Designer Studio. What do you mean by Designer Studio? Designer Studio is a place where developers are going to create the rules, modify rules, delete and connect different kinds of rules. Remember this point, we are going to talk about this connect rules sometime later. Okay, not in today's class, sometime later. Okay, there is something called as case worker portal also. Case worker portal. What is this case worker? This is nothing but end user screen. End user screen where end users will be seeing the application output. Whatever application that we have created, that output will be seeing. For example, if you have opened Gmail, basically in the background someone has written the code and you are seeing the output of it. If you have opened a banking website, someone has written in the background code and you are seeing an output of it. If you are booking something in Go IBB or something, that is the output of some code that is written in the background. So here that coding is done in the Designer Studio. This case worker portal is the place where we are going to see the output of it, the application where the end user is going to where the end user is going to work on it. So always whenever we are starting work, please take a note, whenever we are starting on any application, whenever you start any project, the first thing is to identify who is the end user. Who is the end user? For sometimes, for example, an application will be used by CCP, or if you take a banking application, you are doing internet transactions on net banking. Okay, same way HDFC Bank employees also will be using some application. So when we talk about the application that you are using over internet, you are the end user. When you talk about the application that is used by the HDFC tellers, they are the end users. So there will be different kinds of end users and every end user will have different kinds of requirements. So we have to always make sure that we have a clear picture on the business logic. See here, what we are discussing in the so far, whatever that we have discussed, we are talking about how the business execution is going to happen. We are not talking about how to write line by line coding. That is what is the difference when compared to Pega and other tools. We are always talking from business point of development. Development in the development from a business point of view. Okay, so rule set version, rule set stack, designer studio, case worker portal. Okay, next three important bunch. Operator ID. Operator ID. What do you mean by an operator ID? Simple. A unique ID using which a user. What are the different types of users we have? Majorly, the users whatever that we have are classified into two types: developer and end user. Developer and end user. So a unique ID using which a user logs in into system is called as using which logs in into system is called as operator ID. Okay, obviously where he will be logging, he will be not logging into something, some black hole, right? So he will be always logging into something which is called as application, where he will be able to create some scenarios. Application is the place where application is a group of rule sets. Indirectly group of rules indirectly combination of rules means like group of scenarios. Okay, so this is how basically this is how operator ID application is going to be there. So the next thing is who is okay, now we have an application, now we have an operator ID. How these two things are going to be connected? How these two things are going to be connected? These two things are going to be connected by using a security rule called as access group. What is an access group? An access group is nothing but a rule. Okay, which is going to connect. Okay, access group is nothing but a rule which is going to connect operator ID with an application. We have seen the practical part of it. Please refer the last video. Okay, and the next one, what else this particular access group can do? Access group can decide which portal a given user can see. And also decide what a user can do. I'm talking about, see, when I'm talking about this one, I'm talking about roles. When I'm talking about portals option in the access group. Okay, just to show a quick glance, I'll go here. From where you can open the access group. Always you have to open your operator ID first. So you open your operator ID. Okay, in the operator ID, see how you will identify what you are seeing, which rule you are seeing. You are seeing operator ID. So how you will identify it? So this is nothing but operator ID. So this is the place where access group will be there. You just simply open it. Okay, so here application GB11010101. So our application rule. So operator ID, I'll close this one. So this is the place where operator ID is going to be present. If you open the operator ID GB11 administrators in the access group, it is going to be our application is going to be specified. So if you see, this is how, basically when I'm talking about connecting rules, so here if you see in the first concept, in the application we have connected, okay, 4 rule sets. Every rule set is nothing but a different rule again. 4 different rule sets are connected here. So here if you see, an operator ID is there, which is connected to an access group. which in turn is connected to an application, okay, which is indirectly giving a connection between operator ID and application. So it's like something like A equal to B, B is equal to C, which is indirectly meaning A is also equal to C. Okay, so that is how basically what is happening. Different rules are going to come together to bring up a scenario. What is the scenario that we are talking about here? We are talking about a scenario where a given user is going to log in into system, and see something. When it is a developer operator ID, he is going to see the Designer Studio. When it is a end user operator ID, he is going to see the caseworker portal. This is how. Okay, there will be scenarios where developers will be working on multiple applications. Absolutely possible. So during those kind of scenarios, what we have to do, we just need to add multiple access groups to our application. That's all. So the one which is defaulted, see here, two different applications are there, GB11 and GB10. So the one which is defaulted by using this particular radio button is the default application that he is going to log in into system all the times. Okay, is the default application who is going to log in into the all the times. So if you want to simply switch to the other application without losing the current application workspace or without losing anything, so he just have to go to this particular cube icon and he has to use switch application. That's all. Okay, so this is how all the terms whatever that we have discussed so far are interconnected. Okay, are basically important. So today I will introduce only one sample reusable, not sample, some small reusable concept, some concept which about reusability. So there are many tools, Java, .NET, there are many tools. The main aim of Pega is the first goal is to achieve maximum reusability. The first goal is to build maximum reusability. Next, reduce human intervention. Okay, I'm not talking about artificial intelligence here or a robotic process automation. No, I'm not talking about that. Reduce human intervention. So that means like what we are going to do is like we are talking about one-time setup process. So when we are doing the one-time setup process of an entire business scenario, like let's say when I talk about a business scenario, I'm talking about some IM-based transaction. So one-time setup of that particular IM-based transaction. So all the possible scenarios, all the positive scenarios, all the negative scenarios has to be analyzed by a developer and he has to create all the positive scenarios, one-time setup. So from next time onwards, we don't need to. So that is how basically maximum reusability and reduce human intervention. These are the two main principles on which Pega is running at the moment. Okay, the concept of reusability, the concept of this particular rule set stack is also talking about reusability, how we will come to know it. Okay, so in this reusability concept, I'm going to introduce, or there is a concept called as framework application and implementation application. So what do you mean by framework application and what do you mean by implementation application? We'll just simply go with an example. So that one is, for example, let's say that someone from you came to me and you asked me to develop some ticket booking website. That's all. You did not give me any information. You just told me saying that, okay, boss, I just need a ticket booking website. And you did not give me a single hint also. What ticket booking, which ticket booking? No hint at all. So obviously what I'll be doing, since you are my client, obviously I cannot say no because you are giving money to me. So what I will do, let's say that this particular fella came and told to me saying that I have to build a ticket booking website. So then what I will do, I'll sit back and analyze, or a little bit more. Okay, travel ticket booking application. So what I will do, I'll just simply sit and analyze what are the different types of travels that are there. So first thing is bus, second one train, third flight, fourth cruise, match to match. Okay, so bus, train, flight, cruise. These are the four different types of travel, these things. So in bus, what are the different things that I'll be doing? Whenever I do a ticket booking, what I'll be doing? Selecting the source or booking mechanism. In this booking mechanism, I'm talking about selecting the options of from, to, date, okay, return date, etc. Booking mechanism. So if you see, this particular booking mechanism is going to be common for all these things, correct? Because with the small changes, all this booking mechanism is going to be different, common. So let's go a little bit more. Next, I'm talking about next in bus. I have selected from, to, return date and all. Then I will select bus type or and seating mechanism or seating mechanism. Okay, this is going to be unique for everything. It is going to be different, because if you see here it is going to be train type in a train or coach type. Yeah, train type and coach type. Next, flight type and class. Which class? Economy class, business class and all. I'm not sure about cruise, but something like this will be there in the cruise also. Okay, something like normal and executive something. Okay, so the next thing, what I need. Next one is payment mechanism. Obviously, I'm just sitting and analyzing, because like my client did not give me anything. I'm just sitting and analyzing what are the things that he may ask me, saying that, okay, this is what I need. Okay, anything else? So at maths, I have covered everything in these four things. But if you see here, only point B is varying for all these four types. If you see, only point B is varying for all these four types. But what is happening? What is happening here? If for bus ticket booking mechanism and payment mechanism, I'm building it for the very first time, completely fine. But for the second time in train, okay, it is going to be a duplicate effort. Third time, one more duplicate effort. Fourth time, one more duplicate effort. So what I thought is, okay, I'm doing too much of duplicate effort. So what I will do is, I'll build something called as ticketing system. I'll build one more application. So basically this is nothing but, okay, one more application called as ticketing system, and I will build these reusable functionalities here. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to build something like this here. Okay, so now what I will do, I'm going to remove all these things here. So if you see, whatever effort waste that I'm doing, it got reduced because of adding one top layer on, on the above four these things, whatever that I'm planning to build. So here, this particular ticketing system is also application. Okay, is also application. This is also application only. This is also application only, and these things are also called as applications only, because like this is a bus application basically, and this is a train application, but this particular application is called as framework application. So, and this particular application is called as implementation application. Implementation application. Framework application and implementation application. So what do you mean by framework application and implementation application? Framework is a place where reusability stuff is going to be kept. So whenever you identify any component or whenever you identify any mechanism which can be reused across these 4 different types of implementation applications, that particular rule will be kept in one layer top or one level up, which is called as framework application. So it depends on the projects whether to go with the framework application or the implementation application process. Because if you want to do that stuff, the previous scenario, whatever that we have seen, where we are doing the duplicate effort again and again. So if you want to go and do that part, completely fine, nobody is going to do that. But the idea is to optimize, or the idea is to have maximum reusable code. Maximum, do the maximum reusability and no duplicacy. No duplicacy. Okay. Maximum reusability and no duplicacy in the code, or no duplicate effort in the code. So this is the place where framework application and implementation application is going to come. So okay, fine, we are understood. We have understood what I mean by framework application and implementation application. How this is achieved in Pega? How this is achieved in Pega? Already we have discussed that the point that our Pega tool, whatever that we are seeing, it is built by Pega systems developers. So that means like if you are seeing something like this particular operator rule, okay, this view, whatever that you are seeing, it has been designed by someone. In the background, they might have written some kind of code. If you are seeing, something like this particular access group, why all these options are coming just like this? No matter how many times I'm going to go open it, access group is going to look like this only. Why it is coming? Someone has written some background code in it. So all those particular code has been written by Pega systems developers. Let's not worry about in which language they have done it and all. Ideally it is Java. Let's not worry about that. So Pega systems developers. So whatever reusable functionality, basically what they are doing, see, if I remove this particular application, if I just simply remove this particular application, what is happening? Rest of all the things are reusable things only. So just by inputting my application name here, I'm customizing it. So what they are doing, they are building the customizable reusable components. So where they are keeping all these customizable reusable components, they are keeping all of them in an application called as Pega rules application, where every rule set, if you open this particular application, if you see, every rule set will start with Pega dash. Every rule set will start with Pega dash. If you open any one of these Pega dash rule sets, okay, tomorrow or today, once they give confirmation, I'll be sharing the link. So if you open any one of these rule sets, what happens is you will be able to see all the reusable components which are being built by Pega systems, and you cannot modify it, because if you open any of these rule sets, if you see, I have opened it. See here, it has 2 versions, but both the versions are locked. You cannot modify any rule which is there in a locked rule set. When it is locked means, that means like all the changes that are there in that particular rule set are finalized. It has been reviewed or it has been tested or whatever it may be. You can take it whatever you want. So that is how they are making sure that you are not, disturbing the code, whatever that you are doing, whatever that they are doing. So what you are doing, you are just taking a copy of this particular operator ID into your rule set. See here, RS means rule set, into your rule set, and you are customizing it. So that is how basically this implementation application, if you see, built-on application concept is going to help us to achieve this reusability framework and implementation application. So in our practice, we are going to work only on the implementation part, because like we cannot achieve that in the that kind of huge architecture in this personal edition. But I'll show you where you have to select it to create a framework application, which option you have to select to create a framework application, which option you have to skip it. I'll show you. Okay, so this is how built-on application concept is going to come into picture. So what happens? Okay, fine. I have added Pega rules in my application. Completely fine. What is the big deal? One application is added on top of another application. So what is the big deal? So when PRPC is going to identify this particular application rule, so first what it has to do, it has to come here and it has to see what are all the customization that we have done, and then it has to go back to the basic template, whatever that is created by this Pega system developers, right? So how it will go back to that particular rule sets is, if you go to your operator ID, there is something called as profile. Okay, if you just simply click on this particular profile, it will show you one simple list. See here, GB11010101. We have seen this somewhere. This also we have seen. This also we have seen. This also we have seen. Next UI kit. Next Pega dash rule sets. So this is the order that is being followed by PRPC whenever it is going to look for any rules. So what happens if you create some section rule, or if you create some property rule, basically not property, if you create some operator rule or whatever it may be that you have created here, whatever customization that you have done, it will check here. Okay, it will identify that particular customization, whatever that you have done, and it will go to any one of these Pega dash rule sets, and it will identify the basic template of it and the associated code to it, and it will execute. So that much of huge job is done by PRPC. So you have to, whenever you are working as a Pega developer, only thing that you have to understand is, the only point or the only agenda that you should have in your mind is how PRPC is going to behave at this point of time or at this moment. That is what is the only thing that is going to answer most of your questions. Okay, so this particular order is nothing but our rule set stack. This particular order is nothing but rule set stack. As simple as that. Okay, so here if you see, this is application stack. This is application stack. We have only application specific rule sets. But here if you see, these are different application rule sets, where all the rule sets which are going to be considered by PRPC whenever it is going to pick any rules are going to be listed down. Okay, so this is how PRPC is going to make the difference. PRPC is going to talk about the foundations, because whenever we want to create anything, without creating any of this, we cannot even move a single step ahead also. Okay, without creating even one of these rules or one of the components, whatever that we have discussed, we cannot even move, because obviously we need an application in Designer Studio to create our application, or to create something. So whenever we create our application, all these things are going to come into place. Okay, so this is how the installation part is going to be, this is how the all the stuff is going to be interlinked. So tomorrow what we are going to see is, that is all. I'll just simply have short classes for the coming 3-4 days because of net issue. So so this is how the terminology classes are going to be ending. So tomorrow what we'll do is, tomorrow we'll see the very important part. The first one is installation. Okay, next one is application creation. Okay, so these are the two things that we are going to see tomorrow. So before that, please make sure that you are seeing all the things, whatever that we have discussed today. Today I have covered almost everything, whatever that we have discussed in the past 3 classes. Okay, but see this and come back to me if you have any questions. Okay, I'm intentionally holding back before sharing this one, because these are theoretical classes. You don't have anything to do with the tool. Okay, so just be sure that you are thorough with whatever that we have discussed so far, and come back and we will see this particular part tomorrow, installation and application creation. Okay, Okay, clear? Okay then. So that is all, and we'll catch up tomorrow evening again. Thank you.